Hello, welcome to the weekly outlook in the DeFi Dojo. Today is November 23rd, and what a couple weeks we've had. It has been a dump fest, not only in crypto, but in equities. And for the last several months, probably maybe 6 to 8 months now, I've been seeing the bearish divergence, wondering when it's finally going to happen, being risk off for the majority of this year. And now I'm glad that I was, right? However, I'm starting to see some things that could suggest that all of this might just be a big shakeout before the bigger move. And that is not something I would say lightly. Not that I'm super confident in it, because don't get me wrong, the move we've just had is very bearish and could just be the beginning of a longer bear market. And I think in the long term structure it is. However, the short term right now, I think that we're going to get a bounce in the next week or two or a month or maybe throughout the end of the year. Who knows how long it actually happens? It could just be a day for all we know, and then everything just keeps plummeting. But the major charts are showing me that we might have just hit some sort of really macro bottom. And I'll show you this as I go. So, starting with the dollar strength, for the last several months, I've been showing you that this is finding a bottom and that we're likely going to head upwards. And due to that, we're likely going to see risk assets fall. We've had that happen now. The weekly EMAs are bullish here, which tells you that this is bullish, but we're still under this pivot. And so this pivot here is what's important. If we break this pivot, and I think I might have mislabeled it in my text, I might have to go back and fix that. But if we get over this S2, that means potentially continued bad things for risk assets. But as long as we stay under it, and you can see for 4 weeks, almost 4 weeks now, we've been held down. If this just kind of goes sideways, then risk assets can recover. If this continues to just shoot upwards at a greater rate, then that's bad, right? So there's a large section here if you throw the volume profile on, and this is what you're going to want to watch for, is this gap that you'll see over here. Maybe it's not going to give it to me. Well, if there was one, there'd be a big gap here. Price moves very quickly in this area. Look at how large these candles are and how fast it recovers out of here. So if it breaks this neckline here, and I guess since that's not going to be useful, we'll just get rid of it. If it breaks this neckline, which is, somewhere in this vicinity here, then this can shoot up very fast. And if that happens, and it fills like this whole candle here, then that would be really bad for all risk assets, right? So you're going to want to watch this pivot, and that's why I've used the pivot, because it just makes it easy. Watch that pivot every time we have to update at 100.533 on DXY. If you see that breaking with some serious momentum, then that's bad. We don't want that to happen. Right now, I don't think it's going to, and the reason is because we haven't really crossed the 50 mark on the RSI average yet. We're still below center here on the MACD on the weekly, so I think this still needs some time before this can actually just blast upwards. I think we might touch it and then kind of reject, go test the EMAs again, and that might take several weeks. So while that's happening, I think we could see some type of recovery on risk assets. If we go look at the S&P 500, I know you see this yellow line here. You don't know where it's coming from. It's basically just the top channel line that we broke above, and now we're retesting it. We tapped the 21 EMA on the weekly here on the S&P for the first time since this whole rally started all the way back in April from the big tariff scare, right? Um, so as long as we hold this line, we could very well still head up towards the major take profit target, which I think is the most realistic top for the market before the actual real bear market starts. And so I think that this is still possible. However, if we break down below this line, then that might be it. Like, we have to watch this spot. This is a big week, maybe a big month, maybe a big end to the year to see how all this plays out. And as long as we stay over this 6,600 mark, I know it's kind of skewed because there's two fibs in here, but if I just kind of stretch them out, you can see the numbers. 6,600, just underneath it, that's the support you want to see hold. And if I zoom all the way out, you'll see where this line is generated from. It's basically just the top from before the 2022 bear market to our last top before the April tariff scare. And so now we're holding the top of that. As long as we hold the top of that, then we could still see a move back up to these levels. If we break down below, then that might be it, and we're going to fall pretty hard more than likely. The Nasdaq, same situation, same scenario. The 1.272 around 24,250 is the main spot to watch. The 21 EMA is down at 24,118. So let's just call it around 24,000, right? As long as 24,000 holds, this could still bounce and head higher. This is the first 21 EMA touch we've seen since we crossed bullish. It's very it's very improbable that we get a 21 EMA first touch and then bear market. That's hardly ever happened. If you go back into previous times, whenever you see a 21 EMA touch after an initial bullish cross, it never just continues down. Like that's just like the first pullback, right? And then it blasts higher. Here's another 21 EMA touch. Yeah, it does go well below, but then recovers. Here's another one, right? Well below, recovers. And then we get the tariff scare. So this could very well fall below and then recover before week's end and then blast up higher. It's going to be really volatile. The markets are real sketchy right now. So I don't suggest any short term trading during all of this. If you want to gamble, that's fine. I'm speaking macro, long term, maybe even midterm kind of thinking, where I think that this could find support here and come back up. If you throw the pivots on, you'll see there's a pivot down here at 23,760. So perhaps you want to use that as your, end all be all level, right? We fall down and close a candle below that, then yeah, we're very likely headed back down here. As long as we hold this spot, we should be okay to continue higher. I'm not calling a bear market top yet, or a bull market top transitioning into a bear market yet. I think it's our first sign of weakness, and this could very well hold, give us another top, create more divergence, and then finally fall. 2026, I see being a bear market year. Still, I've been saying that for, I don't know, 3 years now. If we look at USDT, this is kind of crazy. So there's this huge range between 6.6% and 4%, right? It took a long time to get down there, and then we get a bounce back up, and then a long time back down. Well, over the last, like, what, 4 weeks, we've spanned the entire range that's taken, 2 plus 2 years. Let's call it 2 years to kind of be created. This is an inverted head and shoulders. That is a bullish pattern. So for all intents and purposes, this could just break the neckline at the 382 here. 6.6% is the spot to watch. If that breaks, yeah, bear market in full effect. Okay. Now, what could be happening is this is the shakeout before the big rally. And that could very well be the case too. USDT and trend lines aren't something that like to adhere all the time. I used it for a long time for this base case down here because it's never broken, and that was very useful to find the top of the market back in August, which is where I said, "Hey, I think we hit the top." There's a YouTube video where it even says Bitcoin topped, and so now though, I think we could see a bounce back up in crypto, and we'll see if it wants to retest, which I guarantee you it will. It will definitely retest this trend line that it broke, which brings us back down to around 6.16% this week, and then we'll see how it happens from there, right? Like, will it break down below and close a candle back below this week? If it does, then yeah, the bounce is in full effect, and this could absolutely just come all the way back down here, making crypto go crazy again. But until that happens, I want to wait, right? I'm not going full bearish yet just based on this. There's some other things that I'm seeing that could suggest that altcoins might still be able to do what we've all been waiting for them to do. So if we look at total, I'm gonna start with total first. This is the entire crypto market cap. And I'm gonna zoom all the way out to give you this giant picture, right? So this channel started all the way back in 2018, so we're talking 7 years of trendline support, right? And we're currently hitting it right now. So this bearish divergence that I've been calling out for so long has played out so quickly that perhaps, and this is a very big perhaps, this is now the new bottom, and we reset, right? In order to see that, what we'd want to see is quite a few more weeks of maybe some consolidation here, where we can maybe spot some bullish divergence down here, right? And if we see that, then cool, then we can have more confidence that this could be a bottom. for the entire market. Um, I find it hard to believe that we're going to break a 7 year trend line here. I did buy some link. I'll show you that here. This is also almost a 7 year long triangle and trend line, and we just hit the bottom of it. I think this very well could bounce from here. This is a giant, amazing risk to reward setup for me personally. I don't know about you guys, but like if this falls down and closes a candle under the yellow line, cool, I'll cut it and I maybe lose a few percent. If this is the bottom and this is going to have some multi-year triangle breakout to the upside, well, maybe we see $100 on link. I mean, that's almost 10 times from here, risking a few percent to potentially nab the bottom, right? That's all I'm saying. Now, if it breaks down, cool, I'll cut my losses and we'll call it a bear market and I'll start shorting and all is well. But for now, I think this might be one of the best setups in crypto right now, should this be the bottom. I'm not saying go and throw all your money at it. You do you, whatever you want to do. I've thrown a little bit into it and we'll see what happens. Now, if we go to total 3, here's another potentially bottom looking indication. Total 3 is also hitting its bull market trend line and didn't really break it. We're holding the 786 here still. Now, I do see that we have kind of closed below the line, but this is crypto. You can't really count on that. The 786 is the main place that needs to hold, and so far that's holding. So as long as we hold 844 billion on total 3, and you can write that down if you want, I think that we could see a bounce here. Weekly EMAs are bearish. However, this cycle, that doesn't seem to matter, right? You can go bearish for a while and then get bullish and then bearish and then bullish again and just sit in the same place for a while. That's called a consolidation. We haven't really seen any real breakouts in crypto that we've been used to in cycles past. And so if it's going to happen, which it doesn't have to, don't get me wrong. If it's going to happen, it needs to start here, and that creates the biggest and best risk to reward potential. If you bought here, and just if we close the candle just underneath it next week, like down here, like we'll call it quits, right? There's a lot of consolidation in here, so I don't see this continuing to just plummet. It could, it's crypto, but I think that we could take a break here at least and find some sort of base, hold this 786, and maybe bounce back up and the alt season hopes are still alive. I think that is possible. Now, break down below, close below. Okay, cool. I'm out and we'll start looking at shorting altcoins. Here is another one. So this is total 3 against Bitcoin. So this is how is the altcoin market doing against Bitcoin itself? And what's very fascinating is even though we've had massive sell-offs and this big retracement back down, altcoins have outperformed Bitcoin over the last 3 weeks and have closed 2 weekly candles over the 8 EMA, and these EMAs are bullish. Now, we haven't broken the main trend line yet, we haven't broken the weekly pivot yet, but what's fascinating is that during all of this fear, people chose to sell Bitcoin more than altcoins, or people chose to sell Bitcoin and buy altcoins. That's what this chart is saying. Like altcoins went up against Bitcoin during all of this selling, which is very interesting, right? Like you would think if we're going into a bear market, the first thing you get rid of is all the risky crap, right? You sell all your low market cap stocks, you sell all your low market cap crypto, move your money into the safer stuff. That's not what's happening here. What's happening here is money moved into altcoins and out of Bitcoin. So that kind of suggests that we might still have some hopes here. Now, we break up over this 0.5, break up over the main downtrend and the pivot, then we can have like sustained confidence that an alt season's happening. Right now, this is just kind of a let's keep an eye on it. This is interesting. Risk to rewards on some things are very good right now. It might be worth taking shots. So I got 3 charts showing me that, and so I'm feeling like I want to take some shots. Now, if we move into Bitcoin against the NASDAQ, this looks terrible. Not very long ago, I think it was September, August, yeah, August when I called the top on Bitcoin, um, this chart was breaking down. And as you can see, whenever the Bitcoin breaks the trend against the NASDAQ, the bear market begins, right? And then you get your trend, that trend is broken, bear market begins. Well, that's what happened here. Now, it's fallen so quickly that it's already getting fairly close to its main green trend that it's been holding since 2017. So here we are again with another 6 to 8 year trend line that's getting close. I do think that it will hit eventually. But while Bitcoin is suffering, alts are moving up against it. The NASDAQ could bounce here, which means even if Bitcoin did move up and the NASDAQ made a nice bounce from these areas that I'm talking about right here to head towards the 1.618, then this chart here would still continue to move lower while altcoins move higher, the NASDAQ moves higher, and potentially low market cap stocks as well. So if you kind of, I'm hoping I'm painting this picture correctly with what I think could be possible, so you can see it. Like Bitcoin at this point doesn't need to perform well. It just needs to kind of chill, right? And I think that that could happen and give us a potential alt season, a blow off top on the NASDAQ, could create this chart to head down towards its main trend line while also maintaining 786 on total 3 and maintaining this historic trend line on total crypto market cap. Make sense? Anybody have any questions on that? I will get into ETH, but I wanted to make sure you saw this whole picture that I'm seeing. And if any of that's confusing, please ask questions. I want you to see what I'm seeing so you can understand why I'm giving the analysis that I'm giving. Does that make sense? And feel free to ask questions. But I do think it's very interesting. And while you want to type in your questions, I'm going to look at ETH. ETH, I did a short term look because it's been in the same range for like ever. And so there's no real macro view on it until it breaks 4,100 again. And once that happens, then cool, we can head higher. Until then, it's still just stuck in this multi year consolidation. Short term wise, it needs to hold 6,900 or 2,600. I'm sorry. 6,900. What if that's like a premonition? 2,600 needs to hold. If not, it'll head down to the golden pocket, potentially see 2K again. That's no fun for anyone. But as long as we hold the 0.5, that's great. Weekly EMAs are bearish again, but we've seen this, over and over again in the same range. So the EMAs are kind of useless at this point. Weekly pivot is, here we go with the update on the pivots again, just above. So really we have to clear back over 31.59 to have hope be restored. Ultimately get back up over these EMAs and 3600 to have confidence that we can break 4100. Hope that helps. Does everybody understand what I was seeing? I hope I did. It's hard for me to like articulate and make sure that I'm clear on what I'm seeing. I hope you can see it too. Sometimes I wonder if I'm the only one who can see it, right? And you just kind of take my word for it. I don't want that. I want you to kind of learn what I'm seeing so that way you can kind of do your own thing and draw on these charts and make your own assumptions as well. That's the goal. I like teaching, so if anybody wants to take the one-on-one sessions, please feel free. I got quite a few openings right now into the end of the year. And the trading bots are still doing really well since the October 10th event. We've had several wins on the DCAs still. Right now, they're kind of in the bottom of their DCA levels, but I do think that we can recover here and end up getting wins on those. The reversal bots are doing really great. They shorted the market really well, and now all of my reversal trading bots have actually outperformed the assets they trade over the last 2 years because they can short the market too. It's not just something that you want to, do in a bull market. You can fully use these bots in a bear market and make money when everyone else is not. And that's one of the reasons I created them. So I hope that you can, give them a chance and see what you think. All right, so I think that kind of covers everything. We can look at NVIDIA since that's a big one. So I kind of found these channels that NVIDIA trades in over its entire lifetime. And I found it interesting. They're all very equal in increments. And basically, we've hit the top of the red one. And so I think that eventually we'll end up getting down to the yellow one. And the blue one would be where I'd buy it for sure. I might buy it on the yellow one. I don't know. I kind of feel like that will probably break. But you can clearly see here this is probably some sort of macro top. Doesn't mean it can't head back up again a little bit here and there, but I think that we're seeing a top in the markets overall. And I'm hoping to see the money shift instead of just exit. And I think that might be what we could potentially see here shortly, is money shifting to other places while the majors kind of just distribute sideways for a little while. All right. Any chart requests? questions? If not, going once, going twice. If you do have any chart requests, you can always post them in the chart requests channel. IWM, that's a good one. We should probably look at IWM. That should be here. Yeah, still getting higher highs, so it's still okay. It's not bearish. I mean, it's just trying to find support on top of that previous consolidation, which I think it can, and I think it could still head up to these levels. The EMAs are not bearish. We're just testing the 21 EMA again after making a higher high. And I think as long as we hold 233.34, which we are so far, that this could still do what I think it might do and head up to these take profit levels up here. We want to see that money shift. We do have a MACD cross, but I mean that doesn't mean much on an asset class that's this old. It would mean something on a shorter term thing that hasn't been around very long, but you can see there's been multiple MACD crosses that have just gone higher afterwards. So it's not something you can count on with something that's has a long chart history. It's notable and you should watch out, but I wouldn't like sell everything just because it's doing that. You want to kind of watch for other things. It's not bearishly divergent either, right? Like that's heading higher and that's heading higher. So there's nothing to be concerned about here, in my opinion, at the moment. Hope that helps. Oh, hey, we got some requests. All right, let's look at Tau. That is not the crypto one. That is the crypto one. Tau. Okay. So if you remember my strategy with Tau, it was if it breaks the green line, you long it to the blue line. Breaks the blue line, you can try to long it to the yellow line. Broke it once, then broke down below, and then proceeded to fall back down, and now back down to the red lines. This is the area where I would be looking to short it. If it did break down and close another candle below, let's call it 294 on the weekly, like let's say it comes back down here and closes this week, then it might be worth shorting all the way down to 192. Um, and then again, use these levels as your risk, right? So you could use them for your take profits, for your short, for your stop losses, whatever you want. I'm not recommending anything, but you can definitely use the chart. Pendle. It's been a while on that one. How's that been doing? Oof. Yeah, so that's very large. See, everything looks like a distribution. That's the only thing that scares me. When you go look at the individual um, crypto altcoins, everything looks like a distribution. And that's exactly what this looks like. It's a giant distribution. And if that's the case, you break down below 183 or 181, and then this could just totally fall all the way down to $1 again. Definitely bearish, and it's why I'm only taking a shot on Link right now. Like I'm not. Please don't be mistaken that I'm calling for some sort of bottom and then this is the start of an alt season. That is not confirmed yet. What I'm saying is that hope is still alive, just barely. And in crypto, you have to be really ballsy to make money. And so if this is your bottom because this is where it's bounced so many times, great, take the shot. But if it falls below 181, then that's gonna fall pretty bad. Shop. Apparently, I haven't charted this in a while. I do like the company. So there's your line. So whenever it touches that line, you want to be a buyer. It's flirting with all-time highs. Did it make one? It looks like it did make an all-time high. Earnings have been good pretty much through its history. And I know if I draw this, we're going to be over the 786, so it's still technically bullish. And we can get higher. All right, so yeah, it still looks fine. If it holds at 886, great. It can head up to these take profit levels eventually. If it wants to continue falling and hitting the trend, that's where you'd be a buyer. And really, where it is now is kind of do nothing. At the moment for me, I have some, but it's kind of it's a long term thing. I don't plan on selling it just to try to catch it down here. It's not. It doesn't look like it's very far, if it does, but I mean, it's a good 30% or so. Um, which in the world of growth stocks, that's to be expected. It's still bullish. Hype. So that's exactly what a distribution does, right? You get all these peaks, and then it kind of starts making lower peaks, and then it eventually fills the whole move, right? Now, that's based off of this retracement. We got into the take profit zone. It didn't quite make it to the 1.414. We saw bearish divergence the whole way here, right? So it makes sense. This is bearish, and because it's a crypto, I wouldn't touch it here. Now, that doesn't mean it's not hitting a 382 or a 236 right here, because it is. It's probably a 382. Yep. Perfect 382 bounce. So that is your level to watch, right? And if this is going to turn into a strong trend, this is where it happens, right? Whenever you see those 45-degree angles on trends, it's because they're going up and retracing, hitting the 236 or the 382, and then going to new highs. That's what trends do. Same thing in a downtrend. It will go down and then hit the 236 or the 382 and then go down and make a lower low. So that is your friend, that 382, that 2927 level. That's where you want to see a bounce and then head higher to make new highs to create this uptrend. Because it's such a new asset, it's really hard to say if it's going to do that or not, right? Because like if it is an uptrend, then it looks like this, right? But we don't have any more data other than these 2 points to go off of, and right now that point's happening at this moment, so it's hard to say. But if you're going to take the shot, this is where you would try, and if you close the candle below that trend and below that 382, then cool, you get out and take your small loss, right? And I realize in crypto, that's usually not a small loss. It's probably at least 10%. But in crypto, that's, it could be 10 to 15, depending on where it closes and you finally make that decision to cut it. But in crypto, that's the risk you take. So I hope that helps. All right. Any more requests? Bingo, I think
Yep,
your mic
that's
is
what
on.
here she comes. Good time.
There, I'll just mute that. All right. We got someone typing. All right. Thank you all. Have a good night. If you like this content, please like and subscribe and join the Discord and come hang out with us. Have a good night. Bye.